So you're thinking of moving somewhere in the Kansas City metro area. But even if you live here, even if you've never stepped foot in Kansas City before, it can be kind of overwhelming figuring out where the best place to live is. That's because we have so many different options that cater to all different types of lifestyles. So if you're looking to find the best place to live in Kansas City for you, then keep watching. Now, if you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Nick Massa. I help people buy and sell homes across the Kansas City area. One of my favorite things to do is make these videos to answer the top questions I get from my own clients and from you on this channel. So hit that subscribe button to see the latest information that can help you out on this journey. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And if you're thinking of purchasing a home on this move, I would love to help. It's my job to know the best areas and to help you through this journey. So at the end of this video, if you're still a little confused or you'd like some one-on-one guidance, what we'll do, all my contact info is in the description. We'll hop on a phone call or a Zoom call. I'll get to know you a little bit more and what you're looking for. And then I'll give you the top 5 areas that are specific and custom to your needs. With all that said, let's get started. Now, in this video, we will discuss the specific places that you should do more research on based on your lifestyle. But first, the big question that's unique to Kansas City that we've got to answer is, do we want to live in Missouri or Kansas? See, Kansas City, Missouri, the metro area, spans both of those states. If you're not from Kansas City, you might already know this, you might not. It's a little unique. So here's the map. Kansas City proper is this big city that goes right up next to state line. That's the straight line that you're seeing on the map. It branches off into North Kansas City as well. So you've got smaller little towns inside of North Kansas City. That is Kansas City, Missouri. That's what people mean when they say Kansas City. If we go to the Kansas side, there is a city in Kansas called Kansas City. It's way smaller than the Missouri equivalent. You'll see it goes right up next to the Missouri River. And if we zoom in a little bit, you'll see the Kansas Speedway. This is where you'll find the Legend shopping malls, lots of outlet stores. You'll also find Sporting Kansas City. So that's kind of the hallmark feature of Kansas City, which is in Wyandotte County. Now, most people, when they're moving to Kansas City, they're looking for a suburb. Johnson County rings the bell like no other. So Johnson County is this big square shape that you're seeing, runs right up next to the Missouri River. These are the suburbs of suburbia, and we'll break these down a little bit further here in just a moment. Now, the biggest county on the Missouri side is Jackson County. It's about 50,000 people bigger than Johnson County. This is where you'll find Kansas City, Missouri, and a lot of the suburbs that lie outside of Kansas City, Missouri proper. I've lived on the Kansas side my whole life. I see more value on the Kansas side for me and my goals and my lifestyle, and you very well could see more value on the Missouri side. So I'm going to be as unbiased as possible here. 2 things to consider. One is ideally we work and live in the same state, and nobody likes taxes. This mostly comes down to taxes. Nobody wants to file taxes once, let alone have to file them in 2 separate states. It's a whole mess. It's much more complicated, much easier if you live and work in the same state. If you live in Kansas City, Missouri proper, so the first city that I showed you, you're going to pay an additional 1% on all your earned income as well as all your self-employment, right? So that 1% is just the city's tax. It's in addition to the state's tax. Most of that money, I think, probably not put to good use if you live in a suburban part of Kansas City, Missouri. If you live in downtown, you're going to see some return on that investment when you pay your taxes. Now, here's a chart that'll show you the differences. On the Kansas side, you'll notice the taxes are marginally higher. I also think this is a little deceptive. I think you're getting more value on the Kansas side. The biggest difference is infrastructure. Infrastructure in Missouri, the roads, the potholes. You've probably read about it, seen it in threads, heard from family and friends. Roads in Missouri, not the best. Roads in Kansas, especially Johnson County, Kansas, really good, really well taken care of. That has an external cost, which is the wear and tear on your car, and it's kind of offset by the lower cost of gas that you'll find in Missouri. So the second thing to consider is the cost of living. Here's a chart that'll show you the cost of living across the Kansas City metro. You'll notice that indisputably it is more expensive to live on the Kansas side. Again, based on what you value and prioritize, could certainly be worth it living in the Kansas side. But if it's purely financial and it's purely just I want to keep my cost of living low, Missouri is certainly the place to go. Although you can find different pockets where it's really inexpensive to live on either side. This is just the overall gist of it. So TLDR, 2 things to consider. Try to work and live in the same state, and then based on your cost of living, choose which one's best for you, Kansas or Missouri. So now that we've gone a little more in depth on Kansas versus Missouri, now we'll discuss the specific cities that could be a really good fit for you. And we'll break them down into 3 different categories. One is the suburbs. Number 2, we're going to do like the small town feel, the lake towns. And number 3, we're going to do the fast-paced city lifestyle. So let's start with the suburbs. I think it's only fair that we start in Johnson County. It's rated as one of the top 3 counties in the entire country. This is peak suburbia. So right off the bat, you'll see like the perfect grid of streets. Again, I mentioned in the taxes section that these streets are kept up very, very well. Now, in any city, you'll notice everything very close to downtown is going to be a little bit more expensive. The homes are going to be older because they were built first. And as you get to the outer edges, especially in Johnson County, you'll see all of this green space. This is where all of the development is happening. Many of the cities in this green space that you see will likely fall under the small town feel category we'll discuss next. Now, Johnson County, there are small differences. There are some differences between these cities. I shouldn't say small differences. They can be really big differences. I'll link a playlist of many of the exact cities that I've covered on this channel so you can see those differences. Right here, we're going to talk about some of the school districts. These are some of the best school districts in the entire state of Kansas. Blue Valley is ranked as nationally. It's one of the best in the entire country. So it's very difficult to go wrong if you are looking for a good suburb with good schools, according to niche.com, in Johnson County. Now, if you're on the Kansas side and you're in Kansas City, Kansas, which is in Wyandotte, some good schools can be found in Piper. And then we zoom out a little bit, you'll find some good schools in Lansing and Leavenworth. We've got Fort Leavenworth at Leavenworth, big military presence there. These are where you're going to find some really good schools. Here's a picture of some of the school districts. They have really good ratings. Now, as we make our way into North Kansas City, you're going to find several good school districts as well. Here's a picture on the screen of all of those school districts. Now, as we move to North Kansas City, here are some of the suburbs that seem to attract a lot of families. So we've got Parkville, home to Parkville University. It's growing and being developed a lot. Gladstone, certainly coming around. You've got some others like Platte City near the airport that are being developed. It's pretty tough to go wrong. Now, the last few places that I want to point out on the Missouri side, these fall in Jackson County. You've got Lee Summit, which I think if I was living on the Missouri side, I'd probably live in Lee Summit, but that's based on my own needs and yours could certainly differ. Lee Summit has some of the best schools in all of Jackson County. Here's a picture of all of the different school districts. You'll also notice you've got some good schools in Blue Springs. Now, I know we're on the suburbs part and I'm focusing a lot on the schools, and that's most likely because it seems like a lot of families like to live here, and that's one thing that most people want to know is like, do they have good schools? If not, it's going to affect you when you go to purchase a home based on your property taxes, as well as how much the value of your home grows every single year. So I think that's important to know. Let's move on to category number 2, everything with a small town feel. We've got the small cities and where you'll find a lot of land, acreage, privacy, quiet, and the lake towns as well. So we're going to cover those here. And I want to let you know right off the bat, I'm the suburbs guy. I don't know as much about the small towns as some other people do, so I'll link some resources in the description. I'm going to cover them as best as I can here. So here we go. We're going to dive into the map again. I think you get the point here. It's like all the green space you see, this is where you're going to find a lot of small towns. So we're going to start on the Kansas side again. Stillwell being developed quite a bit. There's a Sundance Ridge, huge development, about 700 plus home sites of new construction homes there. Spring Hill, a lot of people moved to over COVID. It's far away from the city. Cost of living is low, and it's being developed quite a bit now. In fact, their elementary schools, they're opening a new one every 24 months. Gardner, Edgerton, very similar idea. DeSoto, Panasonic new battery plant is going in there, so we're going to see a lot of jobs there. We expect it to grow quite a bit. You've got Bonner Springs, Baser, and then, of course, you've got a lot more green space. Leavenworth, kind of a small town feel. Now, as we move on to the Missouri side, so Weatherby Lake would be one. I should have mentioned Liberty. Liberty is another good suburb that you'll find in North Kansas City. Missouri City, some other ones, Green Valley, Oak Grove growing a lot, Odessa growing a lot. You've got Lone Jack, Pleasant Hill, some of the lake towns that are worth checking out, Lake Winnebago, Lake Lotawana, and I've covered both of those. Some of the most expensive places you could live in the Kansas City metro. I'll link that video right here so you can check it out if you're interested. Raymore is another suburb that's kind of growing a little bit more, kind of small town feel, lots of new construction homes there. Grandview, similar idea. Raytown, that's where you'll find the stadiums, so the Chiefs and the Royal stadiums. Royals are moving downtown pretty soon within the next decade. So that area is being developed quite a bit. It's also very low cost of living if that's what you're looking for. So as far as the small towns, I think that covers all of it. Lewisburg's another small town that you'll find in Miami County on the Kansas side. Paola is another small town. Basically, farther away you go from the city, you're going to find those small towns. You're going to get that small town feel. You might also get it in Lee Summit. I'll link my Lee Summit video right here for you again. Lee Summit, you'll find areas with lots of acreage. If you want like the suburb kind of small town hybrid, Lee Summit on the Missouri side, and then I take a look at Shawnee. Some of these houses in Shawnee, there's a lot of green space. You can get homes with a lot of acreage for about $500 to $600,000. Now, last thing that I want to say when it comes to finding a small town feel, if you're in the northern part of the Kansas City metro, then I want to refer you to Big Mike Sells KC. I'll link his YouTube channel below. He sells some land and he focuses on Clay County, specifically Smithville. It's his stomping ground. He's your guy. He's going to have a lot more info than I will when it comes to finding that type of small town feel in this part of the Kansas City metro. Part number 3, we've got the fast-paced, big city type lifestyle, living close to downtown Kansas City. This is going to go quick. My expertise here is not the most thorough or in-depth. It's a whole different ballgame. Most of my clients, most of my expertise, again, lies in the suburbs. So when it comes to this, if this is what you're interested in, I'm going to link his channel down below, Sean Van Horn. He knows this like the back of his hand. He's made a bunch of videos about the different places, neighborhoods you can live in this area of Kansas City. So let's get into it. So here we go. Pretty much anywhere that you see, this is going to fit that description. Now, of course, it all varies based on whether you want to live in a neighborhood and have a home, or whether you want to live in like a condo, apartment, that type of situation. West Bottoms, very popular spot for people renting homes. It's gotten a little more expensive over the last few years, but it's still a pretty popular place to be. Now, the West Bottoms, another one where you'll find a lot of lofts, condos, apartments. As we move south a little bit, though, you'll see Hyde Park, very popular spot to be. You've got Volker, the West Plaza is another one. You've got new construction homes that are going in, and those lots are kind of small, so they're like built really tall. And sometimes you'll find like a bungalow sandwiched in between them. So that area is kind of going through a transitional period. Anything around Country Club Plaza generally going to be pretty expensive to live in, but it's gonna give you that like city lifestyle type feel that you're after. The Country Club District, you've got Brookside, of course, very popular. You've got the Brookside shops there. As we move south a little bit more, you've got Romanelli West. And as we get to Waldo and the Ward Parkway area, this is where you're going to find some other neighborhoods. The Ward Parkway Estate's very popular. If you don't know, we've got a lot of shops that have gone into Ward Parkway as of the last 5 to 10 years that have really had the city taking off. Around Ward Parkway, this is where you'll find a lot of like very expensive homes. Like Patrick Mahomes lives around here. You're going to find some crazy Christmas-like decorations on some of these streets during the winter time. So there you have it, all of the different places that you could live in the Kansas City metro area. If you're looking to move and buy a home in the Kansas City suburb, I would love to help. If you have any additional questions, my contact information is down in the description below. I love helping people who watch my videos, especially relocate to Kansas City. I know you're doing your research and you're on it. I would love to work with you and give you a little more direction. So we'll hop on a phone call, a Zoom call, or we'll meet up in person, get to know you, and I'll send you the 5 top areas that fit your specific needs. Now, if you're looking for the big city type lifestyle or some parts of North Kansas City, like a Parkville, Liberty, Sean, I'll link his channel down below. He's made a bunch of videos about that. That's not quite where my expertise lies, but I'd love to answer any questions if you have them. And if it comes to anything in Clay County, specifically Smithville, that small town feel in the northern part of the Kansas City metro, I'll link Mike Sells, his channels down below. He's got a lot of great videos on that front as well. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe so you see more in-depth videos about these different places that you could live in the Kansas City suburbs, and I will see you on the next video.